Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Sometimes a place draws you out of mystery as opposed to anything it might knowingly offer you. Rio offers colour, Paris shimmer, NYC a rush, Dakar the sun. Montevideo hides behind a blankness, cultivating its charm through a position on the map few people have reported back from. But in this global world, such silence is special, more so than any detailed reportage.
I'm in the Ciudad Vieja, the old town, and this is really the origins of the city which gave birth to Uruguay. This plaza, the Zabala Plaza, has a statue of the founder of Montevideo, Bruno Mauricio de Zabala. He founded the city quite late on in 1726, and he was a Spanish soldier and colonial administrator. So he was the governor of Buenos Aires at the time. He basically founded the city to stop the advancement of the Portuguese into the area from Brazil. So initially, the city was very much a military stronghold for the Spanish. Montevideo is a port city, so it faces the Rio de la Plata river, and across the river you have Argentina. So this area of the old town is by far the most historic in the city, so it's full of old colonial architecture and buildings, beautiful plazas. It's just got a real kind of air of the old Montevideo. This is the Plaza de la Constitución, and it's beautiful. You have two incredible buildings that were raised during the colonial period. The Catedral Metropolitana, which is the beautiful cathedral of Montevideo. And then you've got the Cabildo, which is where lots of the government administration would go on. And you had the Justice Secretary there, you had the prison there, so you had everything. It's very, very historic, and it just kind of takes you back to the colonial times of Uruguay. This is another one of the beautiful plazas in the Ciudad Vieja. It is Plaza de la Independencia, Plaza of Independence, and it's called that because in the center you've got a statue of Uruguay's national hero, José Gervasio Artigas. He is the one who basically helped Uruguay get its independence. So he defeated Spanish royalists in 1811. It's got some stunning buildings, especially the Palacio Salvo, which is absolutely beautiful. It houses a tango museum today. But there are just some really gorgeous examples of Baroque and classical architecture from when Uruguay was newly independent, and it has just got a very grand feel to it.
Things to know about Uruguay today. It's progressive. Marijuana is legal. Abortion and same-sex marriage are also legal. There's universal health care, free education, and democracy is taken very, very seriously, with Uruguay consistently ranking as the most democratic country in the Americas, ahead of both the USA and Canada.
So this is a really nice coffee shop and bookstore, which dates back to the early 1900s. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's so much history. I love the way you can just get a book, have a coffee and a sweet, and just enjoy beautiful atmosphere. So I found some fascinating books about Uruguay's history, and there is one man who is very famous in Uruguay and the world. He is the ex-president, José Pepe Mujica, and he was the president from 2010 to 2015. He's the one during his presidency that legalized things like marijuana and abortion and gay rights marriage. So he's got a lot to do with how kind of liberal and open Uruguay is. During his presidency, this is why I think he was so famous, he refused to live in the presidential palace, so he just lived in like the little house on a farm that he'd always lived on. He gave 90% of his salary away to the poor. He was actually imprisoned for a total of 12 years in his life. He was part of the Tupamaros, which were like a radical national liberation movement that went on, and that's why he got arrested. But anyway, yeah, he went through all of that and he sort of came back from it all stronger than ever and ended up being elected as president in 2010. So to many, he was a bit of a hero, but to others, they disagreed with his politics. So it's just fascinating to come here and just grab a couple of these books, read through them and learn more about Uruguay's political history, because, you know, it is very different politically compared to the rest of South America.
Bar Arocena in Montevideo's Carrasco neighborhood has been serving up Uruguay's unofficial national dish, the mighty chivito, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 100 years. A shrine to carnivorous decadence, this monumental sandwich is bursting with not one, but 3 different types of protein. There's steak, ham, and bacon, topped off with cheese, hard-boiled egg, mayo, and garnishes. The chivito is consumed in massive quantities daily throughout the country.
It looks delicious, and you have to eat it with a knife and fork because it's huge. That is so good. Just like love all the meats in it. Saltiness of the bacon, the fattiness of the beef. Good idea to just like stack a load of meat in a sandwich. So good. Hola. ¿Todos son de Uruguay?
Sí.
Sí.
Yes.
Mm.
Where are you from?
Inglaterra.
London?
Sí. Londres, sí. ¿Cómo son los uruguayos como gente?
Pasión. Fútbol mueve todo.
¿Ah, sí?
Sí, todo mueve por el fútbol.
Todo mueve por el fútbol.
Bueno,
porque...
Suárez jugó en Inglaterra.
Claro.
Sí.
He escuchado que
No, dice que Suárez...
el
crazy.
fútbol es la única cosa acá que realmente la gente se vuelve como muy competitivos.
Sí.
Si no, he escuchado que la gente son más...
El uruguayo es tranquilo.
¿Dirías que es un país tranquilo?
Es un país tranquilo, con todos los problemas que también tienen países como todo, en todo.
He escuchado que como el slogan de Uruguay es nadie es mejor que el otro.
Sí, puede ser, es verdad. Y aparte viste que tenemos una sociedad que, por suerte, hay una democracia muy buena acá. Viste que en la región, en América, es difícil encontrar, hay muchos problemas, ¿no? Acá puede ganar un partido u otro que la gente sabe que mucho no va a variar, cada cual tiene sus formas, pero el país tiene un rumbo.
Es una democracia
eso es muy bueno,
muy
sí.
buena. ¿Y eso crees que hace que la gente son más unida?
Bueno, a veces eso desune porque es de un lado o del otro, pero todos yo creo que en el fondo saben que lo que quieren es lo mejor para Uruguay.
Claro. Yeah. It's really quite funny, like the party's slowly getting bigger and bigger. They're adding more guys to the table. ¿Vienes acá mucho? ¿Sí? ¿Te gusta?
Vivo acá cerca.
Eres de Montevideo.
Montevideo, claro.
¿Qué es la mejor cosa de ser uruguayo?
Esto.
Ese es nacional.
Así me dice, ese nacional me dice.
Es la mejor cosa de ser uruguayo. El fútbol es una pasión muy grande acá, ¿no? This is the Malecón of Montevideo, and it's the longest continuous waterfront promenade in the world. So it's pretty cool to just walk along it and do lots of people watching. I can't believe we're nearly at the end of the first month of the year, and I know lots of us have New Year's resolutions. We want to work on our passion projects and our goals, and I have an amazing offer to help you guys do that. I have 10% off Squarespace to offer you. They are an online website design service. So if you want to build a website for your passion project, say you've got a blog, or for your business, say you're selling online products or services, they've got lots of beautiful ready-made templates on their website to choose from. They have an amazing Squarespace Blueprint AI technology, which makes making your website from scratch, even without any prior experience, really easy. They have something which works like ChatGPT. You kind of give it a prompt and it will come up with things like an About Me section or description for your products or services or helping you write your blog. They also have a business name generator tool, so you can come up with ideas for the names of your business or your blog, which is pretty cool. I also love the newsletter tool that they offer, because websites allow you to send newsletters to your customers, to your clients or your followers. So if you want to update them on the new blog post you have or new services or products you've got, you can do that too. So I recommend, if you want to build a website, give Squarespace a go. Head to squarespace.com, you get a free trial. Once you're ready to launch your website or domain, you get 10% off if you use my code MeliniAngelica at the final page of checkout. So have fun building your incredible website. This is like the inaugural parade of the Uruguay carnival. It's one of the longest carnivals in the world, 40 days. We've got a lot of dancers and bands and drums. It's quite different to the Rio carnival. There's a lot of people sitting down, you get seats, but it's very cool. And everyone's dressed amazingly. So the main rhythm of the carnival is what they call candombe, and it's very much rooted in African music. You've got the drums and the bands, so there's a lot of that kind of African heritage. It's kind of interesting. Not a lot of people know that Uruguay has such a huge carnival and has, you know, a Uruguayan Afro population. Because, you know, once upon a time, this port in Montevideo had a lot of slave trade, which is sad but true. So today, this is kind of, you know, the native rhythm of Uruguay is the candombe. And it kind of got meshed in and blended in with other Uruguayan musical sounds. So now it's kind of like a very unique sound to Uruguay, the candombe and the drum.
Con el candombe, porque hace más de 100 años que se toca esto.
Claro, claro. ¿Cómo te llamas?
Miguel.
Miguel.
Roberto.
Sebas. Malini. Mucho gusto.
¿De dónde son? ¿De dónde son?
Inglaterra.
Ah,
sí.
y hablas bien el castellano.
Gracias.
Whilst Uruguayans would probably take the crown for being the most chilled out, laid-back folk in Latin America, all this brotherly love suddenly disintegrates into intense competitive spirit the minute you mention football. So deeply intertwined with the Uruguayan national identity that everyone in the country is not only a football fan, but also a football player, playing in every open space available around the capital and packing out football stadiums across the city.
Had to come to the Centenario football stadium here in Montevideo because this is a location where the first ever FIFA World Cup was hosted right here in Uruguay in 1930. And of course, The winners of that contest were Uruguay. So they won it twice, in 1930 and in 1950. And they often claim to have won 4 World Cups, really, because FIFA does recognise the 2 Summer Olympic gold medals that they won in football in 1924 and 1928. So they kind of have actually won, in total, 4 World Cups. And of course, you have so many household names when it comes to Uruguayan footballers. So you've got Varela, he was the captain of the Uruguayan national football team when they won the World Cup in 1950. And, you know, today you've got players like Suarez, Cavani, Forlan. So you've got lots of famous Uruguayan footballers that people love around the world. Uruguay haven't actually won the World Cup since 1950, and England haven't won a World Cup since 1966. So they kind of, in that sense, remind me of each other. They both have very good players, but, you know, no recent World Cup wins. So let's see what happens in the next World Cup. So it's a pretty amazing stadium. I can imagine like watching a game here would be incredible. In Uruguay, cows outnumber people 3-1, which makes sense because it's been estimated that Uruguayans eat meat 10 to 12 times a week. Walk down the road anywhere in Montevideo and you're likely to be hit with the smell of hardwood smoke and sizzling meat wafting out of every neighbourhood joint. Many of these locales offering diners prime views of the most infamous of cooking devices, the parilla. I am literally in meat heaven. The parilla is often hailed as the king of all grilling methods. Gigantic chunks of flavourful hardwood are constantly thrown into the flame and reduced down to golden embers. Whoa, look at all of that wood. It is amazing. Coals heat and are constantly fed by the sizzling fat of a dozen different types of succulent meat and tasty entrails. It all looks so amazing. I want to try it all. Like, I don't even know what everything is. I've chosen La Pulperia, a favourite of locals in one of Montevideo's charming neighbourhoods. There's morcilla, blood sausage, and chorizo to start. That is amazing. That morcilla, spread on bread, is so good. Followed by several cuts of prime Uruguayan beef. There's juicy ribeye, tender ribs, lean entrecote, and some sirloin. A true paradise of carnivorous delight. Let the meat feast begin. Oh yeah, that one looks juicy. Oh my God, it's so succulent. This is some of the most amazing meat I've ever had in my life. Sides, grilled potato with lashings of garlic, parsley and butter. The finale, a syrupy, sickly sweet flan topped off with a side of dulce de leche. The perfect ending to this mighty meat pilgrimage. With that, and what feels like the onset of the meat sweats, my Uber's arrived and I'm most certainly ready to descend into the arms of meat slumber. A couple of hours east of Montevideo is the coast, which stretches along the whole of Uruguay's eastern side right up to the border with Brazil. Punta del Este is the most iconic seaside town and a scenic 2-hour drive from the capital. During the height of summer, Uruguayans empty out the capital and make their way to this coastal resort, which has some of the most popular beaches and surf spots in all of Uruguay. This place is stunning. You've just got miles and miles of golden coastline. It's so busy because it's a holiday season right now and it's a weekend, but it's just such a nice atmosphere. It really reminds me of a lot of the beach spots in Spain and Italy that I've been to. Just a very kind of relaxed, laid-back, chilled-out vibe. And then you've got the beach clubs backing the beach, which is pretty cool because you can come here for a glass of wine. You've just got a gorgeous view of the Atlantic Ocean. It's beautiful. It's a very, very cool part of Uruguay. Ustedes son de Uruguay, ¿sí?
Sí, somos de Uruguay.
¿De dónde en Uruguay?
De Florida. De Florida.
Otro departamento.
De otra ciudad, de otro departamento.
¿Cómo es ser joven en Uruguay? Porque es como un país más progresivo, ¿no? Por las reglas, o sea, por ejemplo, la marihuana
sí.
es legalizado,
Sí,
¿no?
sí, totalmente. Totalmente, casi todo lo de nuestra edad sí fuma.
¿Sí? Casi todos fuman. ¿Ustedes fuman?
No.
¿No?
De vez en cuando.
De vez en cuando.
De vez en cuando. Sí,
Entonces, para ti, ¿te gusta ser joven acá?
Sí, es muy lindo. Es la mejor edad.
¿Y qué le gustan los uruguayos? ¿Qué les apasiona?
El mate
El mate, el fútbol
y la playa quizás.
y la playa también. De Inglaterra.
England,
¿Y tú?
de acá de Uruguay.
Uruguay?
Welcome to Uruguay. It's a pleasure to receive you. So this court is 20 years throughout the summer, okay? During 20 years we were playing. Uruguay versus Argentina. Have a look.
That's a strong competition, ¿ah?
Yeah.
¿Tú también eres de Uruguay?
Uruguay.
¿Qué tal? ¿Te gusta vivir acá?
Sí, hermoso.
¿Por qué?
Por la playa, por las personas como él. y nada, es el paraíso.
¿Hay un rival entre Montevideo, entre los argentinos y los uruguayos o no?
¿Elías? ¿No? ¿No hay rivalidad?
No hay rivalidad. So there's no rivalry. You are brothers. Son hermanos.
No,
Tampoco son hermanos.
No, más o menos. Más o menos.
Esto es algo muy... he visto a todo el mundo bebiendo esto. Todo el mundo.
Typical drink of Uruguay.
Es el mate, que es como té, ¿no?
Es como un té.
Es como un té. Y es un símbolo, creo, de Uruguay, ¿no?
Hay Sudamérica.
O sea, siempre donde vas a tener tu mate, ¿no?
Siempre.
Siempre. It's just been so amazing coming here to the coast because it just feels like a different vibe kind of to the city. I mean, even more relaxed if that's possible. And just beautiful, like when the sun's setting now. Everyone's in such a good mood. I love it.
Don't forget to join my YouTube memberships for access to bonus footage from my trips and personal Q&As with me where I answer your questions like where I'm from and how I got into content creation. The link to join is in the description below. In the early 1800s, a significant wave of Italian immigrants settled in Uruguay, bringing with them their political ideologies, culture, and cuisine. And today, almost half of all Uruguayans can trace their roots back to Italian descendancy. Bar Las Flores is a local favourite for the Uruguayan take on Italian pizza. Thin slices of mozzarella pizza topped with finer, a thin chickpea flatbread washed down with a local beer.
What's your name?
Malini.
Mali?
Sí.
Why are in this moment you?
Here,
Yeah.
quería probar la pizza, porque hay mucha pizza acá en Uruguay, ¿no?
Is the best pizza.
Sí, porque es tan grande acá, porque obviamente la pizza es de Italia, pero aquí hay muchas pizzerías. ¿Por qué?
Bueno, en mi teoría es que nosotros tenemos mucha ascendencia hispana-itana, ¿ah? Españoles gitanos, o sea, españoles y italianos. Entonces a la hora de llegar si mirás nuestros apellidos, nuestras costumbres y un montón de cosas, ¿qué comidas tenemos? Hay comidas que son una paellita, que es bien española, y tenemos pizza, pasta, los gnocchi, el 29.
So, por eso hay mucha comida italiana, porque hay mucha descendencia de Italia. Sí. ¿La pizza acá es buena?
Es muy buena.
¿Es como Italia o mejor?
Es mejor.
So this is just like the standard pizza they order, mozzarella pizza, and then they've got the faina, which is a kind of chickpea flour pizza, which is pretty interesting. So apparently they put the faina on top of the slice of mozzarella pizza, and that's how they eat it. Pongo la faina encima, ¿o no?
Yo que vos agarro un trozo de mozzarella,
Trozo de mozzarella.
agarrá un trozo de faina encima, así, y comelo así. Si querés ponerle un poquito de pimienta, ¿te gusta un poquito de pimienta?
Sí, a mí me gusta.
Pimienta blanca, Poquito,
hablando
poquito.
poquito.
Y ahora entrarle así.
Y esto
como-
es bien
Eso es
uruguayo, italiano.
uruguayo y lo más rico que
O sea,
hay.
porque
del
esto no se
mundo.
come así, no
Es
creo.
lo más rico que hay. Mirá, probá eso. ¿Cómo está?
Muy bien. Gracias.
Y acordate, hincha de Nacional tiene que ser. Decile, ¿de qué cuadro sos?
Nacional.
Nacional.
So basically, pizza and beer, very popular thing to do on the weekend. And it's actually really tasty.
Something else that's taken very, very seriously in Uruguay is meat. A legacy from the days of the Spanish era when cows were left to roam freely in the vast fields covering most of the country. Today, there are 3 million inhabitants and 12 million heads of cattle, with agriculture unsurprisingly making up much of the country's industry. A few hours north into the interior is La Valleja, the countryside. I'm here to meet Juan, a third-generation Uruguayan who moved back from the city to take care of the family's ranch, Estancia La Pilona.
Entonces, Juan, Casa La Pilona, ¿cuánto tiempo lleva como rancho?
El rancho es la tercera generación de la familia, así que empezó con mi abuelo hace cerca de 90 años.
Wow, son casi 100 años
Sí.
en la familia.
Sí, luego continuó mi padre. Mi padre se retiró el año pasado. Él sigue viniendo igual a veces, pero ahora estoy yo más tiempo acá,
Ajá.
en el rancho.
¿Te gusta estar aquí y trabajar en el rancho?
Sí, me encanta.
¿Sí?
Me encanta, sí, sí. Creo que no podría cambiar este estilo de vida por otro. Hoy en día, una vez que te acostumbras a vivir acá, es como vivir en otro mundo. Es una vida muy libre, en contacto con la naturaleza, con los animales todos los días.
Ujú. ¿Dirías que eres como un gaucho o un medio gaucho, por así
Yo
decirlo?
diría un medio gaucho.
¿Sí?
Sería una falta de respeto a los gauchos de toda la vida.
Y Uruguay tiene eso de mucho del interior, que es así, ¿no? Todo natural.
Sí, es un país que la mayoría de las personas viven en la capital, en Montevideo. El resto son zonas muy naturales, ranchos, muchas vacas, mucha tradición del gaucho en la vestimenta, en la música, en las monturas que usamos.
A ver si me monto en un caballo.
Sí,
A ver qué
vamos.
tal es.
Sí.
La vida de una gaucha, ¿puede decir? So, estos son los criollos, estos caballos.
Estos son los criollos, que es la raza uruguaya. Es el caballo típico de Uruguay, que viene desde que los españoles dejaron las vacas, dejaron caballos acá también.
Claro,
Y los aborígenes que habían acá empezaron a montar los caballos,
Sí.
las charrúas
los indígenas.
indígenas, sí.
¿Y qué te gustaba como más de niño, de estar aquí en el campo?
De niño veníamos con mi hermano y nuestros amigos y nos encantaba jugar en los caballos, salíamos para afuera en los caballos, jugábamos a que éramos cowboys, disfrazados de
vaqueros cowboy.
vaqueros cowboys.
¿Ayudabas a tus padres mucho?
Ayudaba un poco a mi padre. Ya cuando tenía 1 año, 2 años ya andaba a caballo con mi abuelo y mi padre aquí por delante. Entonces siempre, desde que nací, estuve encima de los caballos.
Pero esta tradición del gaucho y del campo y todo es lindo que todavía existe, ¿no?
Se mantenga así.
Es importante.
Por suerte se sigue manteniendo. A ver por cuánto tiempo más en el futuro se mantiene. ¿Cómo viene el caballo? ¿Bien?
Creo que sí. All right, for now they're here. ¿Vas a dejarlos acá?
Sí.
¿Solo los vas a separar?
Sí, ahora vamos a separar a 2 que tenemos que separar.
Ok. This is what I love about Montevideo, the fact that it is on the coast. It's very much a beachy city with just really amazing vibes. I feel like, you know, Uruguay, it's a small country, it's sandwiched between the bigger touristic countries of Argentina and Brazil. But what I love about Uruguay is the fact that people here, they're just so content and they don't feel the need to get approval from outsiders, which I think is pretty amazing in the world we live in today. So if you are curious enough and you come here, you're just going to be so lucky to be able to experience their rich culture and their amazing hospitality. It's actually been one of my favorite countries that I've visited in South America.